Hi, today here we are going to discuss about the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster, and group members are our group members are Vibin Vishwanath, Akshay Benny, Tejas Tom, and Ian Rodrigues. And here we can see that what happened in that nuclear disaster. The Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster was the most extreme nuclear accident after the Chernobyl disaster. The accident started with an earthquake that last around 3 minutes, which was followed by the huge tsunami. And this led to a leakage of the radioactive contaminants, which was released to the environment in huge quantities from the nuclear power plant. And here we can see that how did it happen. The accident was started with the earthquake and followed by the tsunami. The After the earthquake, the active reactor got automatically shut down and the reaction was stopped in the reactor, and then the electricity supply was failed after hitting the tsunamis over the seawall. So after the incident, the fuel rod started to generate heat, which will cause the rod to melt down, and it makes the it will make to start the release the radioactive materials to the environment. So after failure of electricity supply, the power generators also got interrupted due to the tsunami. So then the coolant pump function was disrupted, causing and it caused the rod to melt down, and then the radioactive materials released to the atmosphere and the sea. The major cause and why did it happen is because it was because the less attention was given to the evidence of the tsunami and the previous records. They got the previous records, but the government and nuclear power plant officials didn't concern about that. And also the poor communication and delay in taking a decision, because this disaster was happened in within few couple of days. So all these days the communication was in delay, and they didn't give attention, and the operators and workers were not vigilant about the loss of the isolation condenser coolant. So the emergency situation and the information was not given to the emergency response team. So they couldn't take the appropriate decision. And then and in another reactor units, the shift managers turn off the high pressure coolant injection system without confirming the DC battery status. After hitting the tsunami, DC battery got interrupted. So the shift manager wasn't aware about that, and the emergency preparing is also failed, and information was ineffective between the officials and government, and this caused this disaster. This must say extreme. And next slide will be presented by Akshay Binny.
So, comparing to James Reason's model. According to the James Reason's model, the warning and information were avoided in this case. Through the loopholes of prevention strategy, this disaster occurred. There will be layers of prevention already placed to avoid an accident from happening. Even though the layers are in place, there will be loopholes that will be mainly due to human errors and the flaws in the system, which led to this accident. In this case, we can see that the warning and information about tsunami and earthquake were provided at the beginning of the disaster. Still, the management and officials did not take it seriously, and they ignored the concerned authorities' information. Even after the tsunami struck, there was a delay of 15 hours to take correct decision according to the investigation. Moving on to the next slide. The impact of this accident. The immediate effect is the nuclear fuels melted and reached the containment vessel. It is because they were not able to control the heat in the nuclear core, which led to the melting of this fuel, and this breached the containment vessel, which caused the explosion. And this released a radiation of 400 at the beginning, and then this radiation increased to 2000. And the plants near the coast were also affected because of this. And about 2,800 people died because of the tsunami and the earthquake. And three plants, there were three reactors nearly together, and all of them got affected. And two workers got seriously injured, and two people died because of the explosion. And moving on to the next slide is the long-term effect. Because of this radiation, about 150 square kilometers became uninhabitable for the next 20 to 40 years. And many people lost their homes and cannot return to them in the next 50 years. And the government took action to immediately evacuate people in the 6 kilometer area within the first 12 hours. Then it increased to 20 to 50 kilometers area. And the people got displaced from their homes, became depressed, and they have anxiety issues and chronic mental issues. And those people will have lots of suicidal thoughts because of it. And lots of people have suicided because they lost their homes and they had depression issues. Due to this accident, Japan shut down most of their nuclear plants and went back to coal plants to produce electricity. And also because of this, coal plants produce more pollution, and the environment is affecting because of it. And the study suggests that many more people will likely die from the radiation which they have been exposed from this Fukushima radioactive station. So next slide will be presented by Tejas.
This slide talks about what are the prevention that should be taken in order to further avoiding this disaster. These are the points that we listed down. First one is try to prevent power loss by installing multiple power grid and connections so there will be no loss of power. In the disaster, we know that due to tsunami, the water comes into the power plant and it destroyed everything. Especially it's happened short circuit in the power plant, and there will be no power supply in the station. Uh, Also, there also in this power plant, the reactors are designed in a certain way that all the reactors are built so closer. So, if anything happen to any reactor, it affect the entire reactor and make a big problem. Third one is we should put backup generators on high ground. Uh, the generator should be keeping uh, top topmost part of the uh, power plant, so it will not affect any kind of natural disasters anymore. So there will be it should be good to be have a backup. And the fourth point talks about we should install many more mobile generators in the case of emergency happen like this. And the building containment, building around it, we prevent leakage of radiation. Uh, Radiation is the major things that happens in the nuclear power plant during the chemical reaction. There will be high chances of emission of radiation from the reactors. So it can be controlled by using certain measures like having a coating with the lead on the walls of the reactor can reduce the amount of radiation coming from the reactor. And you also have a wall in the sea to prevent tsunami. But in this case, it was useless here. It's because the wave came like uh, like 12 or 15 meters high. The wall can't do anything about that one. So I recommend to have a wall which can be adjusted according to the length of wave. And last one is building seismic defense and flood defense. And the next slide is about the environment of management to this disaster. Uh, Here, the site superintendent oversaw the disaster management, and when the earthquake occurred itself, the emergency producers was started. The management got information as early from the disaster management of the Japan regarding the earthquake, but they didn't expect whether the tsunami is going to happen due to this disaster. Second one is the power outage made the condition worse and the communications. The employee had to go and take themselves the responsibility of closing and opening the valves. Uh, they cannot control the reaction of the reactor here, and there's no certain types of cooling because of the because there is not any electricity in the power plant, so the cooling system didn't work well. So the main thing is the supervisor and the safety engineer discuss about the safety measures here, and they find out that they should open the safety valve of the reactor so they can escape some gases from the reactor. Here, they are due to the loss of power supply. They have to use the manual opening to the valve. It'd be a big deal for them. And third one is the Prime Minister was informed and declares a nuclear state of emergency, and the people was evacuated from certain kilometers of this power plant. Uh, and fourth one is the Prime Minister took risk to visit the plant by helicopter in order to control the problems. For uh, nearly 1 day, the Prime Minister cannot communicate with the what happened going on in the reactor because there is not any proper way of communication going on with them. And so the Prime Minister took the risk to visit the plant with a helicopter, but it's impossible to go with the roadways because flood affected the entire region of Japan. The last one is an investigation team was brought up from the UK in order to investigate this case, and they find out that the uh, incident was happened. The reactor is due to sufficient cooling. Um, yeah, the next slide is continued by Mr. Bipin.
Hi, so today I'm going to talk about the internal responsibility system of like comparing to the incident we just now happened. IRS is a system in an organization where everyone has a responsibility of health and safety in a workplace. Everyone has their part to do themselves safe, and they should be safe and free from injuries and disease. It can be achieved by themselves or by cooperating with each other. The company management should take should make proper IRS system in place. Should always take care of the IRS system is there for the employees. Coming to the incident, this is not considered as a fully human-made incident. Like, we cannot fully blame anyone on this case, as it's due to the earthquake and the following tsunami. So that we cannot put a blame on one person specifically. So, but in this case, like, all of the site superintendent and his subordinates were like working from day and night uh, on preventing this, like, the emission to be a large one. Due to their collective effort, it didn't the emission was surrounded to, like, even though it was a big one, it would have been a national disaster. So it was reduced by a great extent. But even though they had done everything right, there was some confusion between like the supervisors and the subordinates, and there was some delay, like around a 15-hour delay. So, in future they should work on it, and they should have a proper system in place. Like, some key points of the IRS, like when we searched according to the labor department, we found something like everyone must have a sincere wish to prevent accidents and illness. Like, that should be their main priority, and everyone must accept the accidents and illness have causes and can be eliminated. Like, nothing can be it's nothing is impossible. We can, if we put the effort to ourselves, we can prevent anything. We can prevent the accidents or the injuries that can be caused. So everyone must accept that risk can be continually reduced, so that the time between accidents and illnesses get longer and longer. There will be like, our target should be zero harm and zero accidents, so that we can continually reduce the risk. And everyone must accept that health and safety is an essential part of doing his or her work. And it's not only the part of, like, someone in the health and safety department. Everyone has their part to do, and everyone should do whatever they can. They should not like go above the hazard, like through the hazards. They should remove the hazard, and or they should correctly report whatever happened in order to avoid the future accidents or disasters like this. Every person must have a clear understanding of what he or she is responsible for, and what he and she, yeah, can do to change matters when things must have been done. they should take part in all the trainings and education awareness programs given by the companies. So in this case, the IRS, we cannot say fully that IRS was there in place, but everyone, according to the study, according to the investigation we learned, everyone did their part like as much as they can, even though there was a slight delay which caused the disaster to be like a more, the emission was more. So that's it for today, and these are the references we used for the our presentation, and thank you.